Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Awakened Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If you're here with us live on Zoom, welcome, welcome. If you're watching later on the replay, the recording on YouTube, welcome, welcome. Please do subscribe to my channel so you can take advantage of all the current shows, all the previous shows, all the shows coming up. It is my deepest wish, desire, and intention to bring to you these amazing speakers who are sharing their wisdom, their teachings, their experiences, their readings, etc., so that we can all thrive and so that we can all awaken to happiness now. And so today is the last show of this season. It was a long one, but this is the last show of this season, and the next one will start really quick, like in a week and a half. So today we have Denise Mange is back with us, and we're going to be talking about the current energies and animal consciousness. And so some of what we're going to talk about is the latest insight from animal consciousness and how their instinctual presence is illuminating newly awakened energies in us, the ways our animal companions have prepared us for this moment, including the subtle energetic groundwork they've laid through mirroring, intuition, and nonverbal communication, how they are helping us to unleash new abilities and dimensions of ourselves, from heightened intuition to interdimensional attunement. And of course, like always, Denise was going to be offering some mini readings live on the call. So if you do want to work with Denise, you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat and we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. And so for those of you who may not know Denise, she's been with us many, many times. I love having her on the show. All the animal friends love having her on the show. There's so much that comes through, and she's so intuitive and spot on. It's amazing. She is a pet expert, a pet intuitive, and founder of Pet Prana. So Denise is a certified dog trainer and pet intuitive. And after a decade of working at some of the most prestigious advertising agencies in New York City, Denise left Madison Avenue to work with pets and their humans, eventually creating her own mindful pet lifestyle brand called Pet Prana, combining traditional training techniques with energetic considerations of pet guardianship. Denise's work highlights how everyday interactions with our pets have the power to transform us. So, of course, Denise does way more than that. So we're going to talk to Denise about what is going on right now, what is up in the world, what is up with the consciousness of our pets, and of course, so much more. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Denise back to the show. Denise, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always so much fun to be here, and I see so many familiar names and faces. So I'm excited to kind of dig in and share some information and then have everybody kind of contribute with their insight, their wisdom, their questions, and their pet's energy.
Awesome. So there's always, we were talking before we went live and how there's so much going on. And I feel like I've been saying this all week with all of my guests this week, last week. It's just been crazy. But really, truly is a lot going on right now. And like we discussed, I'm going to let you explain more, but it feels to me there's an up leveling happening for all of us. And so that up leveling, of course, can create some discomfort, uncomfortableness, uncertainty in our everyday day-to-day lives, right? But I think what we should always remember that everything that is happening for our highest good always. And if we can remember that, it's a little bit easier, right? And so luckily for me, even though I'm going through some challenging stuff, luckily Neo is not. So I'm like, thank God, because earlier this summer he was, oh my God, he was so not well and he was not doing good at all, right? So luckily he is not going through anything, thank goodness. So I'm so grateful for that. But that's okay. But he is supporting for sure. I mean, he's just like it's like he knows when something is up, and then he was sitting right in front of me, just watching, making sure, like, is she okay? Is she okay? Are you okay? And I kept telling him, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And then finally he settled down and got his toy, and then he was like, okay, she's okay. But he's like right on top of it, like right on top of it. So he's such a oh my goodness, I just love him so much. Anyways, all right, so Denise, what is going on in the world right now? What is going on with the current energies? Can you give us some guidance, insight? What's coming up for you?
Yeah, so I love what you said, and I echo that. I want to preface the conversation with everything we're going to talk about is great news. It might feel big, it might feel intense, but it all is great news because, to your point, we are up leveling in really new and amazing ways that we haven't before. And, just as you've kind of explained, our animal companions, they're some of our most, honest, intimate, vulnerable relationships. Sometimes they're mirroring us. And if we're going through some energy or something physical, they're doing the same. Sometimes they act as support, where they're kind of nurturing and watching over us as we're going through some of those experiences. And most of the time they're energetically leading the way. So regardless, they have a high vibration that we're able to kind of tap into and attune to. So this experience that you've been having of just big energies this week, I would say, in my experience and with my soul pack and with my kind of connections with the animals, this has been going on pretty palpably since September of last year. So it's been, a solid 12 months where people are feeling, what's going on? I've been preparing for this moment my entire life, and I feel a little stuck. I feel a little like not quite sure where to go. I don't feel the same passion and drive that I used to. I feel like I have to rest a lot more, take some downtime, take some breaks throughout the day, and just a little bit of a sense of, ennui, or, a little bit of lackluster in life. And the word that I kind of landed on with my soul pack was the sense of feeling suspended. Like the momentum wasn't there. We were kind of just suspended in time for a bit. And so, in connecting in with the energy and going through the ups and downs, the highs and lows of like, what's going on? Is it just me? Is it everyone around me? We go through all those negotiations, experiences, bargaining, blaming ourselves, trying to push ourselves. We go through that entire process, and our pets love us through it. But what came through so palpably, and this is especially about like a month and a half ago, it all just kind of dawned on me during one of the walks I received the download. We are expanding in very tangible ways because our abilities have expanded as well. And so, whereas in the past, our animal companions have really helped us understand and continue to do so, by the way, they've helped us understand our 7 major chakras, right? Our chakra system, how we run energy. Most of us on this call are pretty well versed in it at this point. And our animal companions did a really great way of kind of exemplifying and showing us what those themes are, what our relationships to them and those themes are, by modeling it through their behavior. Like if we were experiencing issues with grounding in our first chakra, odds are our animal companions might have some on-leash reactivity or some physical symptoms with their tail or hind legs or feet. If our pets were experiencing separation anxiety, right, dogs or cats or birds even, that was drawing attention to our second chakra, right? So matters of boundaries, of how we perceive needing others and others needing us, how much we give of ourselves. It was all about setting up those loving boundaries, which are themes of the second chakra. If we were working with our pets, and they wanted to draw our attention to the third chakra, that was about our passion and our creativity, right? What projects are we working on? What projects are we maybe not putting out there because we're a little nervous about how they're going to be received, or we don't quite want to start because we're not sure, how we're going to go about it, or, we just don't feel that spark, that we have the time to create that spark. Our pets might be reflecting that with unwanted behaviors. Maybe they're barking at us for attention. Maybe they're jumping on us like, come on, let's get going, and so forth. And I'm not going to go through, because I know we've done a lot of shows where we go through each chakra and how our pets have reflected that back to us. But our interaction with our pets and with the energy in that way was very two-dimensional in that it was a reflection, right? What I'm noticing and what kind of came through is that we got to the point where, through that partnership with our animal companions, we have really fine-tuned our 7 chakras, right? We understand them. We know what they are. We know the themes. We've been working through them. So we have the benefit now of an energetic upgrade. And so our 7 major chakras have begun coalescing in this kind of in-between suspended time, where we're kind of creating 3 multidimensional energy centers. And what's really interesting about this is, if we think to numerology, right? We know we have the first chakra all the way through the seventh. The first chakra is associated with two numbers, 1 and 8, the second chakra, 2 and 9, and then it's third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So in essence, our traditional chakra system incorporates all the same themes and energies of the base numbers in numerology 1 through 9. Now, anyone familiar with numerology knows there's also master vibrations in numerology. And those master vibrations signify a bit more powerful, more complex, more higher dimensional, prismatic energy. And those three numbers are 11, 22, and 33. 11 is all about divine intuition, receiving information, being very connected to your own intuition, but also the world around you, the energy around you. A lot of just receiving information and be very attuned from a psychic, energetic standpoint. 22nd chakra, new foundations in love, right? It's all about kind of foundations, contracts, living from the divine heart, making choices from the divine passionate heart. It's all about, I call it the CEO number. It's very much about setting up different frameworks and parameters where you can live within. I also believe that 22nd number has a lot to do with our soul contracts and our purpose work. The 33rd, the vibration numerology of 33 is the cosmic parent. That's all about our connection to the universe, our connection to the galactics, our connection to planetary motion. It's about understanding the bigger picture, not only of what's going on in our lives, but how we contribute to the universal whole. A lot of that has to do with connecting with galactic consciousness and kind of expanding and really understanding life from not only the earthly perspective, but how it interplays with the galactic as well. So we are very familiar with chakras, our 7 major chakras. Those centers are coalescing into master vibrational centers. So the way that I've been kind of thinking about it is, or been sharing, is I call them multidimensional chakras, just because it's easier to talk about that way. And so the first and second chakras are going to coalesce into the 11th multidimensional chakra. So they're kind of joining in, the themes are becoming more complex. It's not so much just about grounding and boundaries now, it's about grounding into our own intuition, understanding how we interact with our environment, grounding into our wisdom, our perceptions, all of our clairs. The 22nd multidimensional chakra, which is the next kind of multi-prismatic energetic center, that's going to be all about embodied mastery. And that's going to coalesce the energies of the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th traditional chakras. So that's going to be about our passions, our contracts. What are we here to do? What do we want to build? Do we want to be the builders or do we want to be the planners? And us having a say to kind of dictate and create that within our world. And then the 6th and the 7th traditional chakras are coalescing into the 33rd multidimensional chakra. And that, of course, is about understanding, divine timing and the big picture, but it's also about co-creating with the universe with timelines. So it's not just about understanding it anymore. It's about us understanding that we can work with the universe to co-create those. So this is all a very long-winded way of explaining how we are up leveling, right? We talk about when we're tired we're tired, we're feeling the energy's intense, we must be up leveling. This is specifically how we've been up leveling in our energy. We've been coalescing and expanding to become more multidimensional, to be able to receive and interact with the energy in our environment, but also in the universe in a more fluid, consistent way. So it's no wonder when we think about it that we're exhausted. Our energetic body is getting a huge upgrade and we just need to allow time to integrate it. And of course, our animal companions help us with self-care, that love, that attention, the nurturing, and also holding the energy of that multidimensional energy to help us attune.
I just love that whole explanation about the 3 new multidimensional chakras and just how everything is, how they're operating through us or how we're interacting with them. And it's like, oh my goodness, there's just so much information there, so much wisdom there for us. And but my question, I guess, around that is, how can we interact or engage with these newer chakra systems with more ease with the body? Because I feel
Yeah.
like the body is right now, um, there's a gap between the energetic, right, and the body. It's not catching up as quickly as I think it can, or it used to, or something. There's a gap there, right?
And so I love that question because we've left that information for ourselves as humanity. We've answered that question, and it's been a archetype within our community, our world, our culture for hundreds and thousands of years. And so the same way that our pets and their behavior has created a point of mirroring and reference for each of our traditional seven chakras, which, by the way, I just really want to underscore, those are still valid. We're still working with them. We're layering on these multidimensional chakras, right? The same way that our pet's behavior has provided very tangible points reflecting back to the themes of our chakras, this is where Titan energy, and especially the gods and goddesses of Greek mythology, come in as a point of reference. Because that Titan-like energy that we know from Greek mythology, it really brings to life and tells stories of these gods who create worlds. They're bigger than life. They're creative. They have destructive force. They have free will. They have big emotions, big passions, big gifts, big abilities. We are being invited to step into our, what I'm calling, Titan energy. And at this point, it's really worth mentioning that if anybody is a mythology buff here, you'll know that there actually is a specific level of gods called the Titans. They were the first ones. We're not referring to those specific gods per se. When we're using the descriptor in this conversation of Titan-like energy, it's more of an adjective. It's like that big, larger than life, like Titans of industry. And so the specific gods and goddesses that I've kind of mapped as a point of reference for those chakras to help us better understand those multidimensional chakras, understand the gifts, the abilities they bring through, to help us have that point of reference and that archetypical blueprint. For the 11th multidimensional chakra, it's Diana, the huntress, right? For the 22nd multidimensional chakra, it's Apollo, her twin. And for the 33rd multidimensional chakra, it's Kronos. And so for me, it's been so helpful to have received that information, because it's always helpful for at least someone like me in the energy to have a model, to have an idea, to have a personification of what it is that that energy is bringing forth, so that I can study that person, that archetype, learn from them, and really embody it myself. And so what's really interesting about this is we're not being asked to, look at Diana, Apollo, and Kronos as these, like, okay, they're gods. They live up on Mount Olympus. They're higher than us. We're trying to emulate them as mere humans. No, 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 no. We're being told to step into those capacities, to walk next to them shoulder to shoulder. For any of the elder millennials here, or Gen Xers, one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs is Leash. And it talks about, I'm lost, I'm no guide, I'm right by your side, I am right by your side. That is Diana, Apollo, and Kronos. They are asking us to walk side by side so that we can be part of their experience. We can embody their capabilities and their capacities. And we can definitely go a little deeper into what each of those are and how they kind of help us with our animal companions and our day-to-day. But those are the point of reference to make these multidimensional chakras more tangible for each of us.
I have to say, as soon as you mentioned Titan energies, it's like just a couple of weeks ago, I had a session with somebody, and that Titan energy came in for me. So it's like, and it was so powerful, so strong. Um, So, and that was the first time that I had even, had thought of the Titan energy or the Titans or anything like that. It was not something that was in my mind at all, right? So it was really interesting when she said, "Oh, there's an energy that wants to come in, and do you know the Titans, the gods, from Greek mythology?" It's like, yeah, kind of, And so then she explained, and then when it came in, it was like I felt it. It was so powerful. It was so strong. And they had said at during that piece exactly what you're saying. It's like you are one of us. We walk with you. You're walking with us. We're always together. You are one of us. And so I just wanted to give that confirmation to everybody that about what Denise is talking about that Titan energy. And it's definitely here and it's available for those of us who are willing to receive it and look into it some more and more deeply. But it's about working with it as well, right? Acknowledging it, receiving it, working with it.
Yeah, and in a playful way, right? And it's funny because this whole notion of Titan energy first came through about a year ago. I was doing a reading with one of my Soul Pack members and a pet, and the pet was like, "I'm gonna go work with Diana now. See you later," and just like disappeared. I was like, "Oh, interesting." And then thereafter, there were a couple more pets who were talking about working with Diana, and we're working on a special project, but it's above your pay grade, so don't worry about it. So this notion of Titan energy has been online and in the back of my head, and I kept trying to grab more, but it was only, a couple months ago that it really fully downloaded because we're ready, right? But I think a lot of us probably have had some experience with Greek mythology popping in and out. And that's what is so cool about our group consciousness, right? Is Greek mythology has always been part of our collective, of course, very strong for Greco-Roman traditions. But then, think of, artists like Botticelli painting Venus, right? They always tend to have a resurgence. In the 1940s, Wonder Woman came through as kind of the modern depiction of Diana. And not shortly thereafter, Aquaman, and he was the depiction of Poseidon. And then think of even like, speaking of Titans of energy, Starbucks, right? What do they have? They have, the sirens, the water nymphs on their cups. So there's always this resurrection, for lack of a better word, of that Titan-like energy. So it's always remained part of our culture, part of our fascination. And we've left ourselves these very ancient point of references to inform our modern life, which I love. And not only that, each god and goddess of the pantheon is associated with an animal companion, right? And not just one, always multiple. And that's because they are not two-dimensional. They are prismatic in their personalities, right? So Athena has been, associated with, of course, the owl, but then, the snake and a lot of different kind of creatures and energies. Aphrodite's been associated with so many different animals as well. Diana, she's associated with the stag, but also the dog for the loyalty, and so many others. So we can really play not only with the energy, abilities, and stories of each of the gods and goddesses associated with those chakras, but also get to know the animals associated with them. Because our animal companions always carry symbolism, magic, connection, heart-opening energy for us to tap into and understand deeply.
And I was going to say, and remember again, these are these are just energies. They're just frequencies, and if you look at the grand scheme of everything, they're just energies and frequencies, but it's an energy and a frequency that can give you more insight into the cosmos, into reality, and also assist you in giving you more energy to create, to up level as well, right? So when there is a new influx of energy coming in, you're up leveling, right? So it's going to dismantle some of those lower frequencies and have them be disrupted so that they come up to be viewed, observed, etc., acknowledged, so that you can move into those higher, I don't like your higher, but those other newer energies with more ease, right? And so when it comes to even with our pets and animals, when you are experiencing, so this is just something that's coming to me now, when you are experiencing receiving higher energies or more energies, different energies, the I feel like our pets are also trying to manage that new frequency as well, right? Trying to so if they are having any behavioral issues, or there's a change in there's some sort of change in them, maybe it is them just trying to adapt as well to that new energy that's coming in, right?
Absolutely. And what you say is so right on, right? The Diana, Apollo, Kronos, these aren't just energies for us to look at from outside ourselves. They are blueprints of the capabilities that we're ready to embody and enact, right? We're not just attuning and matching the sound. We are the orchestrator of the symphony. So what their energy is doing is just really showing us that archetypical blueprint of um, illumination and intuition, the architectural blueprint of being a embodied master, the archetypical blueprint of being a universal co-creator, right? That's what they're doing. What's super cool is our animal companions also have these archetypical blueprints of Titan energy. Think horse, right? Here in the 3D world, they symbolize, freedom, speed, boundaries, power, but they have that archetypical version of Pegasus, right? Pegasus is, flies through the sky, can go through timelines, can tap into more of that multidimensionality. Horse also has the archetypical blueprint of unicorn, right? That mythological ability to purify the energy through touch, through just a very small contact, they can send purified energy out there. Same thing with lion, right? Think about lion. We have the griffin, right? Lion with the wings. That shows that kind of courage and sovereign energy to be able to fly over timelines and kind of see that bigger picture. But lion also has the archetypical blueprint of the half lion, half fish, which is the merlion, right? That's that nobility and that ability to really go deep into emotion while still preserving your sense of self and your sovereignty, right? So even our animal companions, as we're going through this, they too have these kind of Titan-like energies that they're acclimating to and embodying. And then another aspect that we haven't touched upon yet, which is another archetype, is the water nymphs. And the water nymphs, I've really gotten to know since I've kind of downloaded all this information. And their role in all this is emotional integration and manifestation. Because when we're dealing with these big energies, when we're tapping into these big energies, when we're claiming, embodying, and enacting them, to your point, some lower, denser, no longer helpful energy needs to get sorted, right? And this is where the water nymphs invite us to go into the water with them. And the water is such a powerful tool for this emotional integration when we're dealing with such big energy, because all of us can remember looking at a pool or looking at a lake and seeing a reflection of ourselves. The image of ourselves breaks up, right, with the currents. It becomes very cubistic if anybody's into art. It's, or impressionistic, right? Think Monet and the water lilies. And when energies, objects, shadows are broken up and not as dense, they're able to bring more light and dissipate with the currents. So anything that we're feeling, experiencing, rather than having to sort through it and go through all the traditional steps that we've done in the past, we can simply go into the current with the water nymphs and allow them to help dissipate that into light through the currents and through that emotional integration. So they've proven to be a really beautiful ally for ourselves and our animal companions as we learn to embody and enact these capabilities, abilities, gifts, attitudes that we thought were once only for, gods and goddesses, that they were, things of myth and legend. No, they are available to us now.
Yes, absolutely. And that is something that we have to always remember that, again, it all comes down to energy, frequency, vibration, and all of that is always available. But can we access it? You have to raise your vibration frequency first of all, and then ask, is it right for you to access those energies? Like I never would have thought to tap into the Titan energies ever. I mean, like it was never in my head at all, right? But after my friend told me about it and I felt it coming in, it's like, oh, okay. So it's like this might explain a little bit of why some of the things that are happening right now are happening right now because it's an up leveling happening, right? So
Mhm. That's a good
it's
point.
it's it's all good. And I noticed that um Neo for a couple of weeks his behavior has changed. Like normally at nighttime before we go up to bed, he goes out, into the backyard, does his business, and then comes in. He hasn't been doing that for weeks. It's like we ask him, do you want to go out? Nope. All right, comes upstairs and you know. So it's like, okay, well that's strange, but it's like, all right, fine, and at the beginning I would ask him, again before I went to bed, and he's like, no. I was like, okay. So it's like, things are also changing with him, and that's okay, right? And so just us recognizing that, okay, yeah, there's, I'm going through these changes. I'm receiving these higher dimensional energies, these newer energies and frequencies. Neo must also be receiving them or working with them as well in his own way, right? Because we are so connected and so in sync, and it's we're working together, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's something we all have to look at and remember, that if you start to notice something going on with your pet or behaving differently, we'll look at your life and what's going on as well. Are you receiving, more energies? Have you been doing more inner work? And so there's changes happening, because that's also going to affect your pet too, right?
Absolutely. So they are experiencing the physical ups and downs, the physical changes that we are. A lot of us have, in my soul pack, we talk about this, it's funny, like we're changing our diets all of a sudden. I feel like I need to eat healthier, or maybe I need to lean more into something else. So, like, it seems that as we embody this energy, a lot's going on. And I do want to touch base on something you mentioned before, because I think it's so important and so beautiful, where you were saying, you never really thought of calling upon the Titan energy until it was brought up to you. And then you wanted to ask, you felt like you had permission and it felt right and aligned. So you said, all right, let's lean into this, right? So I love the act of discernment. That's so important. But the irony is, we've already been starting to embody the energy of Diana, Apollo, and Kronos, right? Our pets have taught us to be intuitive and observe our surroundings and open up to our intuition. Diana's just helping us claim and live by it, right? With our animal companions, they have helped us clear out space, create space in our lives to, bring in new experiences, foundations, and contracts. Apollo is just teaching us and helping us to mindfully actually build those foundations. So we've already been doing it. With Kronos, right? Our pets, they've been helping us kind of understand divine timing, trust in divine timing, especially in moments of crisis, if they're sick or pet transitions. They've been working with us on that. Now, Kronos is saying, not only do you trust it, you get to create divine timing now. So a lot of what Diana, Apollo, and Kronos are bringing through, it's not anything that we haven't been working on with our pets. We're just ready to claim it now. We've done the driver's test. We've done the practice, test. Now we're ready to actually do it and get out into the world and step in our car and press go and hit that gas. So that's what's so fun about our animal companions. They've already been getting us acclimated to these. It's just us being like, oh, I'm doing it. Okay, I'm doing it. Here we go.
I love that. Ina had written in the chat, and because we were still talking a little bit about the Titans, but do you know anything about Hecate?
So I'm familiar with her name. I don't know how she relates or does not to Greek mythology. My understanding is that I think it's Hecate. I thought she was like Mayan or I might be wrong, but Hecate is not someone that I've been connected in with this energy. So I'd love to hear your take.
I thought she was to do with the underworld, but I don't know either, right? So it's like, I was, oh, she was the goddess of witches. She's Greek. Oh, okay.
Awesome. Very cool. She's associated with an aspect of Diana. I love that. Very cool, Layla. I was not familiar, but this is what I love about mythology. The energy is we start with one aspect, and because they are so multidimensional and prismatic, Diana's not flat, right? She's got a lot of different aspects of herself. She's got the wild divine feminine. She has the focused observer. She has the quiet energy who sits back and watches, and then the active energy that kind of shoots the arrow when it's time. So I love that. And I'm definitely going to look into her and learn a bit more, because Diana is so multifaceted. Apollo is so multifaceted. Kronos is so multifaceted. So that's very cool. I love how the energy in these discussions kind of spark us with those other associations.
Hmm. And Ina says, I understand that she was the one Titan the Romans kept in their graces, maybe because she was a witch. I don't know, the goddess of witches. So they were very into um, uh, getting psychic information and things like that, right? So it's possible. But you know what I love about this is that I don't know, you may not know, but the community knows stuff too, right? So it's like we all know a little bit of something, right? So I love that. So thank you, Ina, for that question. Okay, so was there anything else you wanted to discuss for sure before we take some questions?
No, I think the questions will kind of keep the
Yeah,
conversation as they tend to. So
I agree. All right, so there was a question from Annette in the chat a while ago, and she says, "My Zeus is a 15-year-old huge Norwegian forest cat. He is so protective of the peace in this home, making sure my boyfriend and I are settled and okay. How can I let him know he doesn't need to be so vigilant? He can relax and trust us to take care of him."
So I love that question. And obviously I love the name given our discussion we're having right now. So Annette, 1 second, let me just pull some numbers here. Okay. Okay. So here's the deal with Zeus, right? His overall name vibrates at an 8. And just for anyone who doesn't know how I work, I tend to pull the numerology for the pet's name and the human's name, because it helps me get a better idea and sense of their tendencies, but also how our energies kind of relate to each other. And I'm always interested in the overall vibration of their name in terms of numerology. But even more interesting to me are the individual numbers and how they appear to make up that overall vibration of their name. So what's interesting about Zeus, for example, his name is an 8 and then a 5 and a 3, which is also 8 and a 1. And the overall vibration of Zeus's name is 17/8. So it's 8. And so here's the thing about Zeus. He is a leader, just as his name would indicate. Zeus was the god of gods, right? He, with that 8 energy, is a leader. So for him, it's interesting because as pet parents, oftentimes we're like, oh, we don't want to have them feel pressure. We don't want them to have to feel in charge of us. And I'm the first one to say, it's not a great thing if your dog feels in charge of you necessarily if they're acting out. But for Zeus, this is his role and tendency. He's 8. He's the leader. He's the beautiful lion. He's the head of the pride. He's standing tall on the mountain. So for Zeus, it's not so much about telling him he doesn't need to worry about taking care of, the household and the peace in the home and that everybody's taken care of. It's thanking him. Zeus, you're doing a great job. Look at you stepping into that 8 energy. Look at you living up to your name. Thank you for looking after our home and our soul pack. And part of this, which is really interesting, is your name, Annette. You have a lot of amplified 5 energy within your name. You have 15, which is very much, you're empathic, but you know what's yours, you know what's of the environment. But then you have 5, 5, 5, 22, which is that master vibration, and 5. And so that amplified 5 energy within your name signifies you're incredibly empathic. It also tends to signify a lot of playfulness, but also a lot of change in your life potentially. So a lot of turnover, perhaps changing careers, places that you live, a lot of change, kind of forks in the road. So he likes that he's able to create that stability so that you can create and experience all those feelings, emotions. He feels he creates that safe space for you. He's like your oak tree so that you can thrive in the way that you're wired to thrive, which is about experiencing the energy around you, really fully immersing yourself in the energy around you and affecting it through your voice, sound, chanting. I don't know if you do frequency healing or not. But he loves being able to create that space and that peace so that you can be you. And for him, it's not a burden. He feels actually self-actualized by being able to play that role.
I love that. So just let him be him. He's okay. He's good. He's doing his job. Let us know how that resonates with you. Okay, Annette. Now, Jill had written in the chat, if you have time, I have a question about my baby kitty Jewel crying in my hallway. She looks up the wall to an area where a psychic said there was a portal where my ex-boyfriend from long ago used to look in the mirror. I thought that portal was gone, but she cried loudly there this week, and I finally got it. I saged, but I think his energy is still there. Is this what she was telling me? I will listen to the replay because she's out and about.
Okay. Here's the thing that's interesting about this. What's coming through via Jewel, and let me just use my hair. Okay, Jewel vibrates at an overall vibration of 10/1. So 1 energy, which is all about new beginnings, kind of leading a new path, a lot of kind of independence, a lot of kind of self-assuredness and connectedness to self. But within her name, she has that 555 energy, which we touched upon a little bit with Annette, which is interesting. So she uses a lot of speaking, a lot of meowing, a lot of kind of crying to get your attention. So good on you to kind of understand that that is part of her getting your attention. Now, Jill, what she's bringing up for you, and this is so interesting, is she underscored within your name, the 2 L's make up that 33 energy. So that's that multidimensional energy of the cosmic galactic parent. So what that portal is, and what I think you said it was your ex-boyfriend from long ago, what they're bringing in is a new galactic connection to connect with you. The energy, your ex-boyfriend's energy held a little bit of that galactic energy. That was almost like a point of reference for you embodied here on Earth with it. And he's kind of coming back full circle to introduce that galactic energy to you. So the reason that you might have saged it, but the energy is still there, is because you were saging a different contract, right? If it's boyfriend be gone, that's going to be very different from, hey, I understand there's a galactic energy that wants to connect with me, but I'm not interested. So I'm going to close that door. So the invitation remains through Jewel and through your ex-boyfriend's energy. Would you like to connect with this galactic consciousness coming through for you at this time to connect? Maybe you get to know them. It feels supportive. I'm a huge believer that energy approaching us tends to be benign. It's your choice. Do you want to connect with them and learn about who they are, what they're here to kind of do? Cool. If not, sage it, but understanding that's the contract you're saging. And then you might see more of a resolution from that.
Interesting. Well, I never know what's gonna come out of your mouth. I swear to God, it's just so interesting what is coming through. So, Jill, I don't know if you're still here or if you'll watch this later, but that was really cool. So that was really interesting. All right, so we're gonna take some more questions, and I know Nicole, you had a question about your cat, little kitty. I think you said. I don't know a name more. So if you do, just go ahead and raise your hand. Or are you there? Or
I'm here.
I heard it. Oh, there you are. Yep, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So there's a little bit of a story here. So my cat Marmalade, I got him as a rescue from a friend, around 3 weeks old, between 3 and 4 weeks. From the very beginning, he was very bitey. I thought it was cute at first, and I kind of encouraged his baby bites. And I didn't realize what a mistake that would be going forward. It only got worse as he got bigger. And also I think he was unlike any other cat that I've ever had. I've lived with probably a dozen cats in my lifetime and never had a challenging one at all, ever. And this guy has been so challenging from the beginning. Besides the biting, he's been incredibly needy, wants my attention all the time, wants to play 24/7. We have a difficult living arrangement here at the house. I can't have animals running all over me at night. I won't sleep. I have a sleep disorder. I also sleep with an extremely loud sound machine that's like a jet engine. Seriously. So I started putting him in the bathroom to sleep when he was a tiny tater tot. He's a ginger. Anyway, all of these factors compounded to, I think, create a lot of stress for him. And there have been several traumas, some medical traumas, stupid thing my housemate did. Anyway, this all came to a head about 6 days ago. He attacked me viciously twice, viciously from my standpoint. I know he wasn't trying to attack me. Some of it was play aggression, I think. He has this thing that he does where when I get into bed with bare feet, he jumps and attacks my feet like they're prey. He wants to play with them and bite them. And I try to fend him off because he bites hard. And then he'll sink his teeth into my arm and won't let go. And so here I am trying to fend off this cat that's like a rabid dog. And he did it twice in one night, and I just snapped. And I picked him up, I wrapped him in a blanket, picked him up, took him downstairs and threw him out. And I said, we're done. He's been an indoor cat all this time. He's never been outside except in a scary case to go to the vet. And I immediately regretted it. I knew I'd passed a point of no return. And I was devastated, and I was distraught, and I was just horrified at myself. And anyway, I spent the next 3 days talking to him on a spirit level, trying and calling in all kinds of divine help, trying to get him to come home. At first, he didn't want to. He was playing, he was having fun, but as the days progressed, he was like, I want to come home. And then I found, actually, my sweetheart sent me a recording of energy work to, bring lost pets home. And within 4 hours, he was back. But he is changed.
Yeah.
He was super cautious at first, just kind of doing a lot of pacing, sort of checking things out. He's better now. He's less anxious, but there's still an underlying caution, and he won't play. And that was his thing all the time. He won't play. He's not really biting anymore. He's doing little love nips, but no attacks. That was one of my conditions of his return, that the biting stop. But I feel like I broke his spirit, and I'm just devastated. And I've been apologizing to him and just being incredibly sweet and gentle with him. But I just feel like I broke my kitty, and it's like his happiness, his joy is gone. And I feel like a horrible person, but I didn't know what to do. I endured. It's been 10, almost 11 months now that I think that I've had him, and I've endured the biting that entire time, and the attacks, and it's been scary, and it's been incredibly challenging, and I just snapped. And I totally regret it, but I don't know how to fix him now. I just feel,
oh, sweet Nicole.
I feel horrible, and I feel like the worst mommy, and I love him so much. I don't know how to fix things. I'm doing my best, but I broke him.
Oh, sweet Nicole, thank you for sharing this with us. And I will be the first to tell you that as parents, we all have those moments of enough. We've crossed our boundaries. We're exhausted. This is just too much to take. And
I
that,
threw him out. I abandoned him. Threw
no,
him
no,
out.
so he wants you to forgive yourself for that, because there's so much in the numbers that explains so much of your contract together. So I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to connect on this. And the first thing that he says is he wants you to change your frame of mind in I failed him, I abandoned him, I snapped, to I passed the test. Because what's so interesting you
Whoa.
is that I love that before we hopped on, I was so drawn to the picture of that Glastonbury Abbey, right? It's that fourth chakra. The overall vibration of your first name also is 31/4. So it's all about the energy of 4 in the heart center. Now, some of the biggest
Yes.
energetic themes around 4 also have to do with setting boundaries around ourselves, especially when it comes to relationships. And so,
Yeah.
sometimes with our animal companions, that's our closest, most intimate relationship. So it counts just as much as it would a romantic relationship, because we share that intimacy.
Mhm.
So that boundary that you created was incredibly essential. You had to stand up for yourself, right? Marmalade's whole purpose, yes, he was a socially awkward kitty. Like, he's the first to admit that. He was like, yeah, I'm kind of socially awkward. But part of it was the transformation. It was like, how can we get her to finally stand up for herself? Because she will give of herself. She will give up her
Oh, wow.
time, her energy.
Yes.
We need her to finally show herself that she'll stand up for herself. Now,
Wow.
when we do,
Okay.
as humans, our guilt follows, right? How could I have done this? I'm horrible,
Mhm.
bad parent, all that stuff. No, 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 you passed the test.
Mhm.
Helped him kind of
Wow.
rise to the occasion. The same way that we have soul
Okay.
contracts, our animal companions have soul
Uh-huh.
contracts, and they have things that they want to check
Okay.
off. And when they're able to help
Yeah.
us complete a lesson, they feel self-actualized. And so
Yeah.
now you're able to step into, and you're being invited to step into, understanding that experience from the higher heart, not from the human
Okay.
heart that feels everything, but from the higher heart, where boundaries are important, where you're equally as important as your loved ones, where your comfort is takes priority. Sometimes that is going to be very
Okay.
important. The other thing to keep in mind, by the way, is within your name, you have 59 energy. So you are an empathic healer. So the fact that your heart feels so much is
Yes.
very tied to being an empathic healer. So Marmalade needed to get you into that higher heart so that you can expand your
Okay.
healing of others without taking it on and filtering it
Mhm.
through your body. This is a huge lesson, and it's going
Okay.
to help with any of the physical aspects that you've been experiencing with your physical wellness, right? Including the sleeping.
Right. Right.
The other thing about Marmalade, which is incredibly fascinating, is Marmalade's overall vibration of his name is 36/9. So that's that 369, which are the Tesla
Mm.
numbers. This is
Mhm.
cosmic universal design number. I think of
Yeah.
the Fibonacci sequence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the catalyst. It's the catalyst of
Yeah.
combining that power engine of the third chakra, the passion, the drive, the
Uh-huh.
engine,
He absolutely had that.
right? With the
Yeah.
vision of your third eye, your vision, your
Mm.
intuition, and then putting it into your purpose work. And
Okay.
so right now, the invitation with Marmalade, the reason he's being a little trepidatious is he's like, so what's our new contract? He's
Oh,
waiting.
wow. Okay.
So the invitation is going to be, what's the new contract? What do you want to envision here? And it needs to be determined from your higher heart.
So the new vision for me or for me and him?
Oh, all of
Our
it.
relationship, all of it. Boy.
I mean,
Okay.
think of Tesla. That Tesla number. That was like he believed that 3, 6, and 9 were the key to unlocking the entire universe. So this
Mm.
is what Marmalade is. He's your key to unlock your entire universe.
Wow.
Start at the 11th multidimensional chakra, work with Diana, what you want to observe more, what you want to hunt, what you want to track and seek. Then work with
I
a the 22nd multidimensional
Yeah.
chakra, what contracts, what foundations you want to create to support your,
Okay.
your passion, and then work with Chronos, who gets such a bad rep sometimes as like father time and endings. No, he's
Create
all
as children.
understand cycle, endings as new beginnings, and us being able to, just like the spider with the web, create our own web of reality. So we get to weave what we want to see come into our lives. So, you know, the invitation, basically Marmalade is your key to the universe, and he helps you unlock
Wow.
your higher heart so you can operate from that higher heart.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that was a
This
lot
is,
of information there for you, Nicole. So you definitely
that
want to
is,
go back and watch again. And of
okay.
course, if you want to go deeper with this, with Denise, then get package A, because then I think in there there's a 30-minute personal session with her, but then you can go into more detail, more clarity. But oh my goodness, my heart goes out to you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry that you were feeling that and experiencing that, but always remember that we can't really break our pets. They love us unconditionally, but sometimes it is about, like Denise was saying, like, what's our new contract? Where do we want to go from here? It's like the relationship is still there. It's not ended, you know. But I mean, like, I've had moments like that, and I felt so bad, and I was like, oh my God, Neil, it's like, oh my God, I hurt you, blah blah. No, it's like, it's fine. He's like, none of us are, I mean, people that are on these types of calls, none of us are vicious and violent or villains in any way. Like, we love our pets, right? We just love them
Yeah.
so much. But again, it is a relationship, and it's boundaries, and letting the cat know this is how it's going to go from now on, right? No
Yeah.
more of this. Right. So you've got this. It's okay. You got this. But yeah, definitely, if you can work with Denise some more, I think it'll be helpful for you.
I wish I could. I'm unable to afford anything at this point. So yeah.
Well, no worries. I mean,
I
at
could.
least this will help. So definitely go back and watch and
Yes,
listen
I
some
hope
more.
so.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
I think that's the beauty of this, right? Is Nicole so generously shared her experience and her emotions, and so many of us relate to so much of what she talked about. And I think the big gift that Nicole and Marmalade brought to our soul pack, and the reason why kind of the information coming through was so extensive, is because all of us have this moment in time where we're being asked to renegotiate our contracts, right, with our animal companions, good or bad. We can extend what's working, we can change anything that's not. And it's not only with our animal companions, it's with our physical bodies, it's with our living spaces, it's with our career paths, it's with ourselves, right? And how we speak to ourselves and perceive ourselves to be. So this notion of renegotiating from the high heart, I think, was a huge gift that Nicole shared with all of us.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. I totally agree. And there was so much wisdom in that, right? So definitely, it's something for all of us to take a look at as well. Anita, you want to unmute? You have a question
Thank you
about?
both.
Mhm. Thank you, Nicole. You have a question about one of your pets, Anita? I'm assuming, if you're still there. Going, going, gone. All right, we're going to go to Kelly. Kelly, you want to unmute? We'll come back to you, Anita.
Hello. Hi,
Yeah.
Denise.
Hi. I was going to ask to go straight to you. So I love it how you read our mind.
I know, it's so fun because just about every time we meet Denise, we talk about the master number 11.
Oh, yes, of course we do. Okay.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. So I'm just going to jump right in, and then
Yeah.
if you want to take it elsewhere. But your soul pack came to me during my morning walk in this on the beach this morning, and they were chatting up a storm. And so for you, what they were talking about is kind of a beautiful build off the discussion with Nicole. They were saying that they're ready to renegotiate their contracts with you. Interestingly, they showed a lot of avian energy around it. So I don't know if they're looking to come back as a different sort of animal companion, or it's just the energy of the avians, but your soul pack is looking to renegotiate. And so you have a decision to make. Do you want them to embody in the physical? Do you want to meet them in new energetic forms? Do you want them to take you to other kind of consciousnesses? Say that 5 times fast. This ball is in your court, and they are like at the ready. They say that you guys are complete in their current form and what's been going on in your life, that there's been a lot of like fulfillment within your life of like check marks, like, yeah, that feels kind of done. I'm not so into that anymore. Yeah, that feels kind of done too. So they're saying, we will negotiate with you and we'll work together on whatever you want that next step to look like, the new experiences, the new connections, whatever it is, because it feels like a lot of things are wrapping up for you right now, and they're looking towards the next.
Oh, that totally resonates. I've been having those kinds of intuitions, that the agreements, the contracts, what's next, because I was going to ask you, how are you perceiving my pack assisting me in my up leveling? That's what I wrote down. And then I have felt suspended, as you had mentioned, and if they had any other messages. So you beat me to the punch here. Wow.
I love them. They're the best. And so you are super well versed in 11, right? 11 energy for you has always been your kind of MO, your modus operandi, kind of like your baseline frequency. So they're really challenging you to step into that energy of the 22nd chakra, which is kind of coming up with those foundations. What do I want to do? What do I want to kind of create for myself? Do I want to be a builder? Do I want to be an architect? Because you can decide. I know you have projector energy, but if you decide you want to become a manifestor energy, you can. Like they're saying, you can shift to that. Don't feel held behind, for lack of a better word, with that kind of archetype, because you're switching and changing and evolving, and then really leaning into that 33, that universal creator. So I would even say it's so interesting because they show you them suspended and then them in that avian consciousness, perhaps rather than going from suspended to like back down to the ground and then, moving forward. What if you could just take flight with them? And galactic is really coming through. I know you've always had a lot of galactic energy, but really kind of leaning into the galactic and the owl and, that kind of energy is really just popping up for you, Kelly.
Oh my God, I got to tell you, last week I went to the sanctuary and the part where the wolves and everything was closed. So I went over to the birds of prey, and I had I'm getting chills, full body chills right now. The most amazing experiences with the birds of prey, the eye contact, the chirping. They all stopped what they were doing when I visited and walked through. I couldn't believe it. It was the most amazing experience because I've been there many, many times before, but this was different. So the fact that you're talking avian, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Yes.
That was glimmering in through the avian. So your work is with the birds, the winged ones, that's going to be like the new level. So, the canines, the wolves, that kind of thing, that's your comfort level. That's your 11 Diana energy. That's always going to be your milieu, always going to be your partners, but lean into those birds of prey now. Yeah.
Oh, Denise, I love it. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad I'm here and was able to receive all this. You're beautiful.
That's to you, dearest Kelly. I love that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. That was great. All right, we're going to go to Layla. You want to unmute?
Hi.
Layla, how are you? Speaking of organization.
Yeah. But you know what? I got something from you last week about you eating better.
Yes, you are.
I could feel it.
Yes, you would be so proud of my fridge. It is all like homemade soups and juices and stuff. And this is me going from like Red Bull and potato chips to this. So it's a leap. Like I sent a picture of my fridge to my friend and it nearly knocked his socks off. He was like, he was That is so funny. I love that.
Yeah, I totally felt into that. And I was like, do I need to talk to her? I was like, no, you're just in the field hearing it.
My
So
goodness.
good for you. And maybe also a little bit of like, you want to join her?
Meal prepping's not as bad as I thought it would be. I'll tell you that.
Anyways, thank you. So I'm curious how I could best work with a Titan, the Titans, me in particular, and just mention we've worked a lot with my cat Lulu, who's also got a 33, and I've got a 33. And he's had like skin issues for years and years, but then like in May they cleared up 100% completely for like 3 weeks, and then
Wow.
all came back.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So it's interesting that you brought up the 33, and you're so intuitive, so I'm not surprised. But even before you did, when you said, how can I kind of, whatever the question was, whatever you posed, the answer was Chronos. So it was working with Chronos and weaving timelines. And what's so interesting about Chronos is he's represented by web, by spider, right? That's like a really big partner for him about, weaving the, choosing our patterns, choosing our energy, choosing our threads. And one way that he's kind of explained weaving and the energy of weaving and why it's so effective as we step into this Titan-like energy is because when we weave patterns, and you're so creative and so handsy, you do so much with your hands, it gives us that really beautiful proxy to work with our timelines. And part of the reason he says it's such a powerful time to do that is we get to weave together disparate energies to create less charge and more expansion. So as we're working with Chronos, one of the ways that he explained to me about choosing and weaving timelines is we can all do it as simply as past, present, and future, start braiding it together. So think of a milestone in your past, birth. Think of your milestone in the present, have a memory, and then think of a future goal, how you kind of like snapshot of what you see for yourself. Start merging them together, and then start bringing different colors and merging them in, and then allowing whatever comes into your mind, experiences that are painful, happy, hopeful, excited, disappointing, frustrated. As we merge and braid these all together, they lose some of their charge, because then it becomes one of the beautiful colors within the overall tapestry, right? It's not like just this one thread that we're holding on to. We're creating and weaving it into something bigger. And that's one big way he talks about weaving together timelines. So for you, I would say tapping into your Titan-like energy, but through art, right? So whether it's legitimately weaving or braiding, but consciously bringing different nodules of time and throwing them in and seeing what that brings together. And he very much shows, like, as you're doing it, twist it, weave it together, twist it, weave it together to make concentric circles. And that mimics the Fibonacci spiral, right, of all of creation. And that becomes your wheel of time. And you get to build upon it. You get to change it. You get to decide the colors. And it becomes multidimensional so that nothing affects us in a major way. And so I would even do it with Lulu's, little skin issue. Remembering one point for Lulu, like Lulu's Gotcha Day, Lulu's itchiness, and Lulu's when things were good on his skin in May, right? Weave those together, start bringing them together, and see what else comes through for him that you want to weave into his experience. That way we're bringing them together. They're not just separate, isolated experiences.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I even had, like, I'm in this class, this dance appreciation class I just started, and there was like, we're supposed to make a poem with I remember, and there's different parts to it. And I was like, how do I do it? And then what you're saying is like, do past, present, future, and make this poem, and then make it into some kind of a collage, like artistically. And it's already like, it already came before I talked to you, like this poem opportunity, and then your message. So it's all fitting together.
And remember, it doesn't only have to be past, present, future. That's just like a good reference point for us to like get the mechanics of it. It can also be just milestones in our lives, right? A couple might be in the future, a couple might be here. Like, you know, it's just like notable, right? Notable is a good way to think. Think places where our awareness are drawn, different nodules in the timelines, because each timeline at every nodule point has different possibilities that it can go. So if we bring that nodule point together and we weave it, it's like we're also weaving in all the possibilities from that point.
That is so cool. I love this. Thank you. And it's so good to see you. Thanks, Shefali.
Oh, thank you, Leila. And that was so interesting. And when Denise said Chronos for you, that's what I was getting as well. Like right away, as soon as you mentioned, who can I work with or what can I do or whatever it was, I got Chronos right away as well. So I love it. And weaving time, and in that way, I never would have thought of that. Like that is so so creative and so different. So it's amazing what comes from Denise, what she's channeling, what she's bringing in. It's just awesome. All right, so I know Anita and Tina, you have your hand raised. Unfortunately, we cannot take any more questions. I do have to take some time to talk about the packages. So I'm going to just share my screen for a quick second. 1 second. Here we go. So Denise has 2 packages available, A and B. Package A is a 30-minute intuitive reading with numerology assessment. That's what I was talking about for Nicole. If you can, if great. If not, that's okay. You already got a lot today. And then invitation to join the private membership group for 3 months, and then select chapters of translating your pet's behavior. And then package B is all of that plus the mindful approach to dog training PDF with how-to videos and meditations to do alongside your pet. But I'm going to let Denise talk a little bit more about it than me. So she's better at it.
So I wanted to keep it simple and personalized, right? Because I think as we've seen through all these readings, the energy is big and we're all having really big experiences. So I wanted to make sure that the packages that we provided for your soul pack really centered around personalized messages, experiences for you and your pets. So the first one, like you said, 30-minute intuitive reading. I always pull the numerology of the pet's name, the human's name. I always like to kind of set the expectation that, different animal communicators get different sorts of information. Some get a lot about the pet's preferences, like I like this toy. Others get a lot of medical stuff. What tends to come through most strongly for me is what you guys have seen here today, which is more about your relationship with your pets and what's going on in your life through the lens of the pet. Because when we vibe higher, so can they. And it doesn't matter if your pet is with you, if they've transitioned, if maybe you had a childhood pet, or maybe you don't have a pet at all, we can still tap in through the energy and the open-heartedness of our animal companions. So the first item in that package is going to be that 30-minute intuitive reading. The second item is going to be the invitation to join my private membership group, Live Oracle Card Readings, and you'll be joining for three months, right? Because it happens once a month at the beginning of the month. So you'll be invited for 3 instances of that. And with this, we pull group oracle cards for the group, and then we pull individual oracle card readings for everyone who's joining us live there. So you'll get a nice mini reading, something personalized, but also get the energy of the group. And these are always super interactive. If you like to pull oracle cards, I invite people to pull them for the group. And then as we pull the oracle cards and we do the mini readings for each person, we all kind of chime in with our hits. So it becomes this really interactive, multi-dimensional experience, which is fun. And then the last item is going to be some kind of foundational chapters of my book, Translating Your Pet's Behavior. And that goes into more of our relationship with our animal companions, how our chakras are mirrored through their behavior, and really helps ground us into a more mindful understanding of our relationship and how we relate to and connect and communicate with our animal companions. And then the next package, as Shefali says, is all that plus for the pet parent, especially the dog parent who wants to do some mindful training with their animal companion. Maybe you have a puppy, Maybe you have a longtime companion who you just want to kind of give them some of that mental stimulation to help them through the big energy. Maybe they could use a little reset, or maybe it's just some fun activities to do with your pets. This has everything you need on how to kind of raise and interact with your pet. We do everything from kind of the basics of positive reinforcement training to housebreaking to independence training or separation anxiety, managing unwanted behaviors like barking, as well as housebreaking and you know, any accidents around the house. But for each of these, you'll get a video on a mindful take on traditional training, but then you'll get the translation of, but what does that mean in your life more broadly? Because if your pet's having accidents in the house, it's not just accidents, it's probably reflecting something else going on in your life. So it gives you those energetic contexts and prompts for each of these interactions with your pet. And then you also get how-to videos onto teaching, you know, some of the key commands and working with them, as well as some like training games and meditations and mindful activities to do alongside your pet. So it is, I think the PDF is something like 100 pages long, and then there's a bunch of like links to click through on each. But that's really going to be great for the dog parent in particular.
Awesome. Thank you. And of course, there's some wonderful testimonials and feedback from folks who have worked with Denise already. Just free to check out. And just so you know, there with both of these packages, a payment plan is available. And of course, if you are an Inner Circle member, please use your gift code. So package A is $149 and package B is $249. So please do take advantage of these. I mean, sometimes it's like we can just getting a little bit of clarity about what's going on can make the world of difference, like it did today with Nicole, right? With what she was struggling with and being challenged with her cat. So that's why I always feel like the personal session can really help both you and your fur baby, because you know they're so precious and they're working with us and supporting us as we're supporting them. But sometimes I feel like they do so much more for us than we do for them. Yes, I play with Neo. Yes, I gave him food. I take him for a walk. But it's like I feel like he does so much more, right? So if you can, then please do take advantage of this so that you can have that greater bond relationship. You know, and if there's issues, get those cleared up as well. And just the information that Denise shared today about the Titans, and the new multidimensional chakra system that she talked about. There's just so much information there. I mean, like you definitely have to go back and watch and listen to this again because there was so much information and it's so interesting, right? It's so interesting. And of course, Denise is so tuned in, so so intuitive that the information just just flows like a tap. It's amazing. So thank you, Denise. Any last words of wisdom for us that our pets want to share with us, or the Titans want to share with us? Anything coming through?
Yeah, so thank you, first of all, for hosting this and always keeping kind of an open platform and always being so accommodating. It's such a treat to be able to connect with everyone in your soul pack with you. And especially on a Friday before a long weekend here in the United States, I feel like this is like, you know, the equivalent of like summer cocktails. Like this is so much fun. One thing that our animal companions do want to underscore as we wrap up is something that we were talking about before, Shefali, which is treating ourselves with gentle energy and kindness, just as we would treat our pets. Because as people who have been in the energy world, a lot of us are healers. We work with energy. We understand energy. When we have big Titan-like experiences, whether they're big emotions, big physical experiences in our bodies, you know, whatever that might be, we just try to push through. Let's just push through. Let's just, you know, muscle through. And our pets are reminding us, no, this is the time to show care, love, and support for ourselves, for our bodies, for our hearts, as much as we would show it to them. It's going to be tough to just kind of muscle through this energy. We really need to show love and compassion for ourselves. And if we're experiencing any of these big emotions, outbursts, feelings, capabilities, physical experiences, it doesn't mean we're regressing. It's all good news. We are expanding and opening up. So nothing in our lives is going to be meh, right? That energy of like, comme ci, comme ça, you know, sort of here and there, that's gone. Things are big now. Things are amplified because we're stepping into our multidimensionality. So we need to amplify and multiply the love and care we have for ourselves. And if we forget to do so, our pets always love on us to remind us. So just a note on self-care for us all.
I love that. That is so beautiful. And, you know, I say to Neil, I don't know how many times a day, oh my God, I love you so much. Oh my God, I love you so much. Oh my God, I love you so much. How often do I say that to myself? Not as often, I'll be honest, right? But he forces me, I'll be honest, he forces me to focus on that love, because as I'm rubbing his tummy, because he makes me, and then I have to keep doing it and keep doing it, because, you know, but that also reminds me of how important that is for myself as well, right? So it's, even though I'm, you know, rubbing his tummy, but it's opening up my heart as well, right? To love and compassion and all that kind of stuff. So they're such wonderful teachers, right?
And you know, that's another thing we can pick up with the Titans. And I love that you mentioned this, because we were talking about loving ourselves, unconditional love towards ourselves, which our pets model so beautifully. From the Titans, let's leverage their vanity, right? There was no Titan who was like, yeah, I could lose a couple pounds here or there. No, they loved themselves, right? They loved who they were unapologetically. Let's embody a little bit of that as well. I want to bring in some of that, not self-care alone, self-love, self-vanity, self-appreciation, all of that. We'll borrow that from the gods.
I love that. Yep. Thank you. Absolutely. So everyone, again, like I said, there's just so much wisdom on this call today. Denise shared so much. So please go back and watch and listen. I'll have the recordings out in a little while. Go back and watch and listen. Book that session with Denise, or, like, you know, choose package A if you can, or package B, whichever, and work with Denise even more, because again, the information that comes through is amazing. And I mentioned at the beginning, this is the last show of this season, so we're wrapping up, but the next season is like right around the corner, like in a week and a half. So I'll be really busy for the next little while getting that ready and together. But I hope you all have a great, wonderful weekend, a great next week. I know it's a big time, right? Because it's like the end of summer, people going back to work, people going back to school, all that kind of stuff. Again, big energy. So be gentle with yourself, have compassion for yourself, right? And yes, appreciate who you are, where you're at, and know that everything that is happening is always happening for our highest good, because the universe, source, creator loves us so much beyond measure, right? So thank you so much, Denise. This was wonderful. It's always so wonderful to see you and chat with you, and wishing you well as well.
Thank you. Big hugs to everyone. Thank you for sharing your stories, your pets, your attention, your time. And Shefali, thank you for creating this community. What an honor to be the final one of the season. Thanks for fitting me in. Mwah, mwah.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you. All right, everyone. So like I said, I'll have everything out in a little while. So please go back and watch and listen. Until next time, for those of you in my inner circle community, I am planning to have the community call tomorrow. So stay tuned for that email, okay? So thank you so much. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all so much love and blessings. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.